What's up, everyone? Today we're harvesting beets. I've got some beets hiding over here in my greens bed, and I figured, you know what, let's do a video on how to harvest beets and when to know when a beet is ready to harvest. So without further ado, I'm growing some Chioggia beets over here, which is probably one of the coolest varieties you'll ever see, just as far as their color is. Let's get these out of the ground. Let's see if they're ready to go. All right, let's go. When it comes to harvesting a beet, what you're looking for is that root, that part of the beet that we're growing, to be popping out of the ground. And so what we see here is our Chioggia beet is kind of sticking up out of the ground, and we want to come in with a spade of some sort. Let me get the dirt off of this. Come in with a spade and come in underneath the beet, because the last thing you want to do is destroy the root crop, because that's what we're growing it for, right? So we come in under, loosely loosen it up, and then we can just pluck it right out of the soil, and we'll see if we harvested a solid beet here. Part of what I like to do, and this is obviously optional, is I like to weigh my harvest. I want to know how much am I actually pulling out of the garden. And remember, these are edible. We can eat these too. So I'm going to weigh these because these aren't actually going into the compost. These are going into some salads. Looks like we got 10.7 ounces. And then for those in the metric world, 303 grams worth of beets. Beets/beet greens. Now, I'll be the first to admit, these aren't the best crop of beets I've ever grown. We've got some damage to them, but I did want to just talk about how to harvest and then a little bit on how to store. The best way to store this guy is going to be tops on in a bag of some sort with some light holes in it, and then in your fruit and vegetable drawer. That's going to give it the most shelf life, but for just the sake of this video, I do want to cut off the tops on this one. I'm going to use these in today's salad, and I want to do a bit of a cross section and see if these Chioggia beets, which have a pattern unlike any other, live up to their name. So let's go ahead, cut in, and look at that. That is absolutely incredible. The way that this beet is usually cut would be a cross section more like this. So let's see what that one looks like. There you go. You have that pattern, that beautiful striped pattern that you're looking for with the Chioggia beets. That's why I grew it. I like to grow things that look really unique, look really cool. And so what I'll do is you can peel off the hairs with a knife, or you can use a peeler if you want to, and then you can kind of just go from there, use them in a salad, roast them, etc. Do whatever you want. And you know what? Even if you have a little damage like my beets do up top, no big deal. Not a huge problem. Of course, we would want to avoid that if we could, but we're not going to worry about it in this video. Just wanted to show you these beautiful cross sections of these Chioggia beets and a little bit on how to harvest them. Well, there we have it. Beets are pretty simple to harvest, pretty simple plant to grow in all honesty, and I will do a full guide on growing beets in the future. But I wanted to touch on a couple things that I did not mention earlier. Number one, the best way to store them. I know earlier I mentioned with the tops on, it's actually with the tops off. I mixed that up when I was filming. So what you want to do is, if we come down here, what you'll want to do is cut the tops off about an inch above. So leave about an inch of stem, and then store the beet in that fruit and veg drawer, and it'll store for quite a while. You want to store the greens separately. And then something that most people don't think about is what to do with the greens. use them in salads. There's so much you can do with them. Treat them like you would treat any other leafy green. But what you probably didn't know is that the greens actually hold within them more nutrients on a per weight basis than the actual root does. So the beets are tasty, but then the greens themselves actually have more nutrition within them as compared to the roots. And so that's something that I didn't know initially, and I was excited to learn, because instead of throwing these in the compost, you can now use them in the kitchen, right? So here we go. We've got a couple more beets. These are going to be coming out a little later on. They're not quite ready yet, not quite bulbing up to the point that I would like them to, but I hope that was informative. If you have any other questions, drop them down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Good luck in the garden, and keep on growing.